Bwahahaha. My name is Amy2 and welcome back to Talk to Transformer. And let's get this one completed. The man walked up to his son and said, "Boy, you need to learn to be a man." And the boy replied, "I've got to learn to answer for myself." Everyone laughed, but the older man thought, "Young man, what you have is absolutely wonderful. It is what my wife and I could only dream of, or at least hope for." Then he turned to his son and told him, "Well, I cannot afford to miss this." And he placed his hand in his pocket and pulled out $100,000 and shoved it in the boy's hand. Then he said, "Well, son, I'm sure you have better things to do than what you're doing now. Now get that." What is this? The man walked up to his son and said, "Boy, you need to learn to be a man." In 1886, a 7-year-old boy named James William made the American equivalent of a high five. One of his teachers at the Montessori school on Philadelphia's Center City had taught the boy how to tie a shoelace before class. And one day, in his free time, he went to the school store. The school has a store? To buy a pair of shoelaces. When he arrived home, he took the back door latch off his father's bedroom door and gave his father a sweet smile. When his father shook his hand, he smiled and handed the boy back his shoelaces. They hung on the bars of the window frame in the right... The bars? Are you saying that they're in a prison now? The man walked up to his son and said, "Boy, you need to learn to be a man." The son replied, "You need to learn to drink water." What is this? The man shook his head and said, "Oh yeah, I'm on a mission." Those were the last words that he spoke, not because he's gone. I was so saddened, and now I have these innocent words from my dear friend written on my daughter's headstone. What? What was he to me? A little old man drunk from a flask. Certainly not a man of God. The Bible says, "Take nothing for your journey, neither 2 tunics nor any bag for your journey." What makes people uncomfortable is it tells ... What is this? Amy2 was tinkering with a steam engine. Amy2 was tinkering with a steam engine when she finally realized she couldn't fly. She flung the engine, sending her flying out into the crowded street. Just when she knew she would come to the wrong place, she eventually came to a clear view of a large city with few buildings. How is it a large city with few buildings? She crouched down, but the air was too thin for her to stand. Hoping she could find an ally, she rolled to her feet. How do you roll to your feet? Zipped up her coat and sprinted down the street. Desperate, I thought she couldn't stand because the air was too thin. Desperate to find shelter before she would be swept up in the power plant's steam blasts. What? Peeking out of an alleyway, she spotted a van driving in the opposite direction, but it had not slowed down. She grabbed onto a cable hanging ... What is this garbage? Amy 2 is tinkering with a steam engine with a lighter attached to it. And the accelerometer inside of it was automatically going up and down. Since her drawing engine was within 2 meters, each pixel in her drawing got lighter and lighter until she ended up with a photograph. Something that had no color. By this point in the story, Katara already had 3 portraits. One of Toph, 2 of her parents, and this final photo of her mother and sister. She was reading Toph's book and was super excited because as a kid, she had only imagined her own family before. She was then released by Katara to be Toph's right hand fangirl. What? Katara, please be my right. It ends there, but I know what it was gonna say. Katara, please be my right hand fangirl. What does that even mean? Katara, please be my right hand fangirl. Amy 2 is tinkering with a steam engine. Sure, her clockwork was starting to show the effects of her work, but she could not bring herself to take it away from the castle. She left it there until it was ready to be sent back to her. The magic in this room will slowly degrade in value, Anna said. Elisa looked up. I think I like this new room better. What about the abandoned one? As a matter of fact, I do. It just takes me a few moments to finish the installation. And what about the castle? Is getting a lot cleaner. So far, I'm still waiting to take it back. Elisa will probably ... Amy 2 is tinkering with his steam engine, which is a lot bigger than it looks, because it's an oversized garden hammer. What? Here you can see its chain will generate enough electricity for about 8 hours. Wow. It could do with a bit of tightening up. Each of the rather large electric motors along the bar will be connected to an inverter, which is the kind of grid attached to the gas engine via a pipe. This means that when the bar is in motion, the engine will supply power to the greenery or gas engine to keep the pressure or electricity flowing. These motors will also move, although it looks like they're slowing down on their own. Via Andro ... Amy 2 is tinkering with a steam engine and an electric motor after learning she could, but some of her experiments meant her Uncle Andrew drove her around, peering down at everything in the engine bay that could possibly give the hospital a chance to deal with her situation. What in the world would an engine would an engine bay have anything that would help the hospital? Andrew was in charge of his uncle's most essential duties, and the pair of them spent their time preparing for the meeting, firing guns through the basement windows and cleaning their hundreds of rifles that had been stockpiled. What is this? Meanwhile, the children returned to their school. Some were content with the tools and instruments provided, but this one was different. The one who had met Leon was no longer alone. Her absence had all but alienated everyone from their circle of friends. Her circle of friends. What? What is this? What is this? What is this? What? Amy 2 is tinkering with a steam engine. It was set up to churn some water. churn some water. I don't think you churn water. You churn butter, but you don't churn water into the intake for the engine. I don't think engines use... Oh, well, it's a steam engine, so yeah. It goes into the boiler, but... you don't churn water. The first thing she did was to fire up the engine and saw an incredible explosion. The whole setup was blown to smithereens. With one... What? With one lung and one hand, she placed a boulder in the red-hot liquid and let go. Ooh! It was just a regular steam engine. A simple steam engine. It was like a sandcastle. How are those two things related? It did nothing more than that, but it was a platform for what occurred a bit later. Ooh, 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 ooh. What is this? Why is it alternating between capital... no, this isn't even capital O. I think it's like a zero. Why is it alternating between a zero and a low? I mean an O. Why? Moon was fixing a flat tire. Moon was fixing a flat tire. You could hear this squeaking noise coming from the rear of the cargo van. In reality, it was no squeaking. This mysterious sound, in double quotes, was coming from a screen in the dashboard mounted on the passenger side. And there, between two models of PlayStation 4, sat a woman in her late 20s. What? Who on her... Okay, what? I'm not going to read that part, but it's like, this adorable find has delighted the internet and is surely creating some extra close calls for that couple. So here's the thing. Can this woman just have just gotten a glimpse of her life in the place she is most likely to go during the time she's undressing herself? What is the ... What is this? Oh, this is amazing. Moon was fixing a flat tire when he and his friends broke away from a reggae group that they were assigned to stand guard in. What? What? Two men from the group, Kyujo and Prince Rama Singh, intended to fight. Without a second thought, Wang Hong what? Wang Hong. Wang Hong. That's the most amazing name ever. Wang Hong assisted the men, kicking Rama Singh in the leg, punching him in the face, and stealing his motorcycle. Contradiction. It is called Daho in English. Lone Wolf includes the following quotation: some birds sleep and some birds sleep not. This contradicts the statement in the Man Who Grew a Beard, which says some birds never sleep. Trivia: Wang Hong often talks with a deep, strong North Indian accent. I like how this guy is just called the Man Who Grew a Beard. And the guy called Wang Hong. What? Wang Hong. Is that even a real name? Apparently it's some kind of weird like digital Chinese economy thing. Or whatever. It's weird. Wang Hong. Moon was fixing a flat tire, but when he glanced up, he noticed the lot of folks on the motor coach trying to pull their car along. The wind was right about where he wanted it, and he parked his rig just behind them. He heard their shouts of encouragement, but also a sense of foreboding. Maybe they would break away. Maybe they were tied up in a ditch. What if there was a train coming? So he stood in the cold winter air, watching the motor coach pass, watching the way the tree branches bent in the cold, watching the wind blow in and out of the culvert. Nothing as far as he knew. He'd seen the occasional headlight flash over the city. Maybe, but there was ... But that was ... There's another amazing name in this. Moon was fixing a flat tire on the roads near his home and was heading to his favorite trailhead. He took a deep breath and started walking through the woods. Most mornings, Yang Ho's grandfather would wake him up at 4:45 and show him the must-do of the day. Don't go for a run until 5, which meant going by bike every morning to the river trail's launch point and back. He sometimes went long distances on his bicycle, taking the train back to his home. Yang Ho was using his grandfather's old desk in the entrance hall. He wasn't sure if he'd even stay there for another hour, but he had decided that now would be the day he made his grand return to the trails. Yang Ho, you already got like Wang Hong, and now you got Yang Ho. Moon was fixing a flat tire when a civilian asked him to help him find a Chewy hat he had lost on a local hiking trail. Moon's reaction? Oh, you want my hat? The stranger confirmed his identity, and then set out to explain that the person who lost the hat, and many more over the years, belonged to his wife. It was later revealed that the man in question was actually a witch. Don't you mean a warlock? Working in a townhouse and secretly disguising herself. Oh, so it is a witch, apparently. As an ordinary family member who was very upset that the wife of a relative had changed her identity for his own gain. Moon then happily joined the hunt, allowing his wife to find the man's hidden lair, and figure out that the witches only needed the hat, not the whole heap. A Chewy hat. I didn't know witches' hats were chewy. I might want to bite into one someday. They probably taste of licorice. Moon was fixing a flat tire. There was nothing in it but a piece of brown paper. Happy birthday, Moon, cooed the partridge. As he was repeating something he had overheard. Will you please give me a biscuit? It's so cold. That's what he heard. At that moment, the bolt came flying out. It had come from above, and just made a quick, dry crack. Are you talking about a lightning bolt? The startled partridge fled into the woods, and within a second came back with another and another. Are you he's bringing back more partridges? Happy birthday, Moon. Will you please give me some nutmeg? A bear came running back, tusked. Can bears have tusks? I don't think so. And eyes burning with rage, it leaped over a log leaped over a log like that's a feat, and ran to Moon's side, snarling. I've jumped over many logs. In fact, I've walked over a log. You don't have to jump over them. You just have to walk over them. Oh, he leaped over a log. I'd be more impressed if he leaped over a pond. Or a puddle, even. Moon was fixing a flat tire on an old Chevy, which is what he has, when he heard the sound of popping popcorn. He put down his shovel. Why are you using a shovel to fix a flat tire? Why do you even have a shovel? And checked the skid marks left by some out-of-control boys. What? I think they was trying to beat us to the trail. I like how it used the word was there. He says, wherever the trail goes, it never goes off-road. Well, duh, 'cause it's a trail. It goes through several states of total legal truck camping. You know, that would have been amazing if it said totally legal truck camping. And in parentheses it says, Minnesota is the only state where it's illegal. From caves and armorers' yards to a small home in China. And are you talking about the virus? And all the way up to Fairbanks, Alaska. You can even get a legal Toyota Cressida camping vehicle and drive right off the side of the highway. Yet there are still no plans to convert the semi-truck into a ... What is this? Moon was fixing a flat tire in the parking lot when workers noticed something odd inside the car. As the car was being lifted out of the space, workers turned to see the man trying to pull up a pole sticking out of the trunk. Fort Worth Police Lieutenant Debbie Shaw said in a news release, the metal pole was about 14 inches long and 1.5 inches wide. Sky 7. Is this a username from a game or whatever? Sky 7? That's what it looks like. I only ever saw people online with a username use something like that. Showed the man apparently attempting to smuggle in cocaine. Trying to squeeze the pole into the trunk of the car. What, is the cocaine in the pole or whatever? If that's the case, then that's really stupid. All he had to do was just squeeze it into the trunk and it would work. Sergeant Dave Williamson of the Fort Worth Police Drug Squad said, not even the door locks would work. What is this? Letter was replacing the spark plugs on Moon's car. I want to get the grammar perfect enough that it'll actually work, because it will, you know. Slater was replacing the spark plugs on Moon's car. The engine that was driving him wild, instead of the traditional silver-colored spark plugs, these were installed in blacked-out slanted ones. What? They looked particularly unpleasant and dark sky Augsburg. That's because they were. Being a couple of inches shorter, they had to be situated very close to the spark plugs. But they are the spark plugs. They were so close, in fact, that the water in the centrifugal injector would actually stick to them. There was also an unusual smell. It wasn't bad, it just smelled of old engine oil. And it stayed on the car like a weird grease. It's oil, of course. It's grease. Oil is greasy. At least some of it. Whatever. Dark sky. At the end of ... Slater was replacing the spark plugs on Moon's car when she happened upon an unexpected object. My husband opened up the hood of the car and said, "There's got to be something in here," she said. I was standing on the street with my son, and I looked down, and it was this thing. And it was completely pitch black. I turned my head around, and my son was saying, "No, Dad, no." What is this? The sleuths inside had first tried to light up the object, thinking it was a ballpoint pen, but found it was actually fire. The car's engine was soon on fire. Then the investigators learned the middle of the vehicle was covered with a thick ... What kind of scenarios do these people live? What is the world of AI? I want to know. I wish I could delve into this thing, not get killed, okay? Which would be almost impossible with this thing. But and find out exactly what's going on in this thing. Slater was replacing the spark plugs on Moon's car and was using the hammer that Greg's girlfriend used to hammer the keys. All this was driving all of Moon's friends crazy. Then Moon had a chance to talk with Ham directly, immediately after the race. While Greg was asking Moon what was wrong, Ham said, "Get in the car and we'll drive home." Now Moon and Greg were both sweating profusely, as they were coming in under 100 miles per hour. For what they thought was going to be a good run, they were both going about 30 miles per hour. So under 100 miles per hour. I'd say way under 100 miles per hour. That's half highway speed. This of course triggered Greg to get in the car and whip out the hammer. What? Ham, knowing it was happening, hit the key in the ignition to take off on a screech. The ignition is not the accelerator. The accelerator is down by your feet. Or if you got a steam car, it's like the inner steering wheel. Oh, look, Zellers. Skunk. Oh, Skunk's lawyer. Tim King. What is this? Slater was replacing the spark plugs on Moon's car at the time, but Zellers and then Charger, GM, General Motors, President John C. Staggers, declined to investigate the earlier engine incident, but charges against Skunk are new and surprising, given the knowledge of the previous engine failure. Skunk's lawyers have given different explanations for why a recusal is necessary. Any responsible person would have recused himself, said Skunk's attorney. Tim King on Farmington Hills. His own career and interest were on the line. You would have to have a disturbing conflict to recuse yourself. What is this word? So were the interests of his employer, the spokesman of Delphi, and Anadarko declined to comment. I have to search what this word is, if it is a word. Oh, it is a word. It means judge yourself or whatever is what it is in this sentence. To recuse yourself, that means he's judging himself. Slater was replacing the spark plugs on Moon's car, plus there had been smoke coming from under the hood of his Corvair. which had been parked on the side of the road for what was a terribly late night. So he figured that Moon must be driving slowly and couldn't stop in time to avoid hitting him. He pulled over right in front of Moon's Corvair. Moon doesn't have a Corvair, he has an Impala. Armed with the weapon. And got out of it. You know when it says the weapon, it means he's got some kind of weird, like, epic atomic ballistic missile launcher or whatever. And got out of his car to check his side. As he did, he saw this, and then he saw it again. Except his latest glimpse, the yearbook photo of a jaunty blonde in a bowler hat and a ball gone, was dated August 28th, 1956, not August 29th. So that was in the 50s, apparently. The Corvair was not from the 50s, that was from the 60s. Okay, time for Big Boy and Buddy. Big Boy and Buddy. What? Nutty. What? Buddy, we're stealing cars and taking them apart. What? What? Big Boy and Buddy were stealing cars and taking them apart from the inside out. That's kind of hard to do. Buddy even opened a PC in his parents' room and installed BIOSes. You can't install... I don't think you can install a BIOS. They're like on your computer already. Who knows what other dangers he could have been performing. Performing dangers. Oh, this name! Lincoln Bumgarner. Lincoln Bumgarner ended the no-hitter by setting the park on fire. Then he took a shit in the dugout. What was he doing there? He was taking a shit! Of course, it already said that. Finally, Joe Panic. Okay, that part I'm gonna skip. Okay, whatever, I'm gonna stop with that one. It's getting really freaking weird. Big Boy and Buddy were stealing cars and taking them apart with bare hands. She told Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, "I did what I had to. Some of the young men used the straw hat to steal cars." Generally cars with American flags on the back that were worth thousands of dollars. All of the alleged crimes took place on the north and south sides. Those are very different sides. They range from possession of stolen property to threats, burglaries, and even homicide. Other young men from the south side were indicated in connection with the same crimes, but their cases were not included in the list of murder suspects announced on Tuesday. I'm not good at pronouncing this name. Milwaukee Police Department has not said why. North Side residents charged in the boys' killing have pleaded not... ... What? Sometimes this thing is almost impossible to read. I'll just say this. It does not read like any story that a human would write. Big Boy and Buddy were stealing cars and taking them apart. They knew that they couldn't keep up and the cops were chasing them down. Buddy got scared. He got in a fight with Bill's friend Carl. Ugh. That just makes me think of that weird video that I stumbled across called the llamas in hats thing. No, yeah, whatever the name was. And then Bill made a mistake. That was the time he decided to take off with the crazy Mustang. How can a car be crazy? Oh, this Mustang is insane. It should be put in a car asylum. They stole the Mustang and headed for Michigan. They were caught by police at Muskegon, and Buddy was shot and killed. Bill was arrested and charged with murder. His trials were held in January of this year. Buddy's mother, Greta Mitchell, was also arrested. She is still awaiting trial for her part in the crime. Court papers list her as Bill's girlfriend. What? That's Buddy's mother. What? How can it be his friend's girlfriend? That's weird. I know that kind of cursed stuff happens in real life sometimes, but I didn't need to read it from a computer. Big Boy and Buddy were stealing cars and taking them apart so fast, and this would just explode. Since no one was nearby, maybe the agents decided to fly out to investigate. He adjusted his glasses and stared at the monitors, reflecting that the duo on the east side had been hunting them down. He was unaware of the agent around them using their ARs for long bursts of fire at them. His hands were gripped by bullets. His hands were gripped by bullets made from tracer rounds, and bullets that were fired rapidly. The service rifle had been modified with a scoped rifle barrel with an optional sniper scope. He maintained the high-powered M26 sniper rifle of the British Army. It was a German-designed late war issue comprehensive sniper. It really changed a lot, this story. It went from them stealing cars to them using guns. But anyway, I'm gonna have to end this video here. If you liked it, please subscribe. Go look at my other videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.